Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Mixtape Queens podcast. We are your hosts, Amanda and Elise. We specialize in spreading music and love around the world. Today, joining us is an amazing content creator and marketing specialist. Of course, we're talking about the one and only Adam Ivy. First,
Yeah.
mind blowing that you even hear. This guy is truly amazing. He's a music producer who has worked with countless artists like G-Eazy, Mod Sun, Kevin Gates. He's a YouTube powerhouse with over 16 million views. And like I said, he's a marketing genius. So
He's our hero. Welcome, Adam.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's a great opportunity to be able to finally connect. I appreciate your support, and it's always fun talking shop. It's always fun talking marketing and business and the music industry and everything in between, content creation, and it's just the things that make me nerd out a little bit as a almost 40-year-old man, which might be sad and it's awesome at the same time.
It's a huge blessing, I think, because we believe music is medicine. So it's people's dream, right? It's a lot of our dream to be doing music for a living and work in the music industry. So, we're excited to talk to you because we have similar stories, you and I, how, we came into marketing and our passion and drive for it to help people. Your channel is amazing. You're an educator. You inspire creatives around the world to elevate, and whether they're musicians or a brand, you have so much to offer, so much value in your YouTube videos and also on Instagram. We love Instagram. You're just crushing it. And you do things in a thought-provoking way.
Thank you.
You're such a great teacher and a great speaker. How did you become such a great speaker and teacher?
A lot of practice, right? So I started YouTube back in 2009, 2010, have made a boatload of videos, some that I've never published, a lot that I have. And over the years, growing up, I was very introverted, believe it or not. So even though there was a lot of opportunities for me to speak up and be part of like high school team sports, and I was in martial arts, and I have two little brothers. So I was like the oldest, kind of the half parent as they were getting older. I never really found it comfortable to speak in group environments, right? Especially in person. So YouTube was kind of a tool, a therapy of sorts, where I could get in front of a camera like I am now, speak to the lens as if I'm talking across the table to somebody, and just pick things up along the way. I am guilty of saying and ah and these types of things, and we all are when we start. But watching how talk radio personalities or somebody like, love them or hate them, Joe Rogan, these types of big podcasters, they take time to think. They don't have to continue to make noise in between thoughts. And so I think that just doing that alone over a small period of time will get you a lot more confident in your presentation, in your delivery. The great thing about marketing is I've been doing marketing for a very long time. So I don't need to really rehearse what I'm teaching because we're doing it day in and day out. And so if somebody asked a chef how to cook a very basic meal, they would be able to say it right away. There was no prep, right? And so that's really what I love doing on YouTube. I love doing it on socials, obviously. And then we have a couple paid programs where we really deep dive and go into like nerd level discussion about things that people on YouTube might not want to talk an hour and a half about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we're going to get more into that later. We're going to talk about how people may get a chance to be working with you at the end of this. So, okay, true or false? Without marketing, you have a better chance at winning the lottery than you do in the music industry.
I would say true in a lot of ways, and I'll break that down. So a lot of people that make music, artists, don't have the business mind. They don't have the entrepreneurial mind. They don't like that stuff. It's just like, I'm just an artist. But in order to get anything out to the market, you have to bring it to the market. And that's what marketing is. So if I have cupcakes and I love baking cupcakes, and I want people to like my cupcakes. I have to take it to a market, whether it's a farmer's market, whether I sell it in a grocery store, whether I open up my own bakery. That's part of the process to get to sales. So marketing is just being excited and trying to get other people excited about your thing. Winning the lottery is complete luck. You have to play in order to win, right? So you can't just win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket, or if you're not gifted a ticket or find a ticket, right? But with music, it's the same deal. So if I'm making music and it's sitting on my hard drive over here and I'm not putting it out to the world, I'm not excited about it, I'm not telling anybody, I mean, you'd be better off waving at cars from your living room window to get exposure, because like you have to get it in front of people. So marketing is the vehicle to take your stuff to where it needs to be. And so many people get it confused. They're like, well, marketing is just slimy, or marketing is, I didn't sign up for this to market. That's fine. Nobody is forcing you to try to do a music career. You can make music till you're blue in the face. You can make music for your entire life, and a lot of people do. It's called a hobby. So either you're doing it as a hobby or you're doing it as a business. It's very different. There's a lot of people here in America that own very nice thousands of dollar lawnmowers. They have weed whackers, they have leaf blowers, they have hedge trimmers. A lot of people have these things, but very few people out of that whole user group have successful lawn care businesses. Same tools, different application.
I think you
Does
hit
that
it
make
right
sense?
on the nail. It's about how you're using it. Are you using it to the best of its purpose?
Yep. Yep. And for millions of people, right?
Absolutely.
It is a hobby and or a dream. And what do you say for those people who are not sure if they're good enough or if they have the resources to make it in the music industry?
Oh, that's a bit of a loaded question, and here's why. So without self-belief, without a crazy obsessive work ethic and focus on like, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm made for, this is why I'm like, you're not going to stumble into crazy success not believing in yourself, right? It's like the person that doesn't believe that they're going to be an actor or an actress, and so they don't go to the extent of the work and the extent of the networking, the extent of the practice to get there, because the entire time part of their brain is telling them, you're an imposter, you're not made for this, it's going to be too hard, people doubt you, people don't understand you. And it's getting extremely selfish with yourself and saying, this is what I want to do, I'm excited to tell people about it, I don't care if people get it, this is my thing, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to do. It takes that in order to make it. Otherwise, very, very, very hard. Very, very, very hard. Right. One thing I always say is, how many people who have won American Idol are currently relevant in the music industry?
Wow.
Like 3 of them out of 20 something years of a show. And the people that, this is the funniest part, the people that someone always brings up when I ask them that, they're like, well, Kelly Clarkson, Carrie Underwood, they name all these people from like the first 5 seasons and nobody from the past 15 years, right? So past 10 years. So I say that because that's, people think they just need exposure. Well, if I just get discovered, well, what's the excuse for those that have won a show and got the exposure of millions of people yet didn't do anything with it? It's because they didn't build an audience and they didn't take the time to build that relationship with a group of people that really genuinely care and go along the journey with them. And so if you have self-doubt, a lot of times we can conquer self-doubt just by doing the thing and just practice. I say this all the time, your repetition creates your reputation. So if you constantly say you're going to do something and then you don't, well, that's going to be your reputation. If you constantly go out day in and day out and put a little bit of work in, that's what your reputation is going to become. And so you have to look at it that way, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I agree with that. 100%. I really learned it from you, but, um, you know, everybody has an excuse. We all have excuses or distractions, and our focus can be everywhere. So it really comes down to why you want it and how bad you really want it.
Yeah, you gotta have that fire to really want to make it happen for yourself.
Yeah.
It's not so much about the fame. It's really about, how much do you really love your craft? How much do you really want people to hear your music? How much do you really want people to resonate with your, whatever you're creating as a creator?
100%.
Okay, so
100%.
say someone isn't good at social media and maybe they don't even like it, they're not good at it, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Do they have a chance at just uploading to streaming and maybe running ads or, something like that?
If here's the issue, right? We need to get attention. It's been the same for 50 years. Back when the Beatles and back when Aerosmith and AC/DC, they were traveling all over the place to do radio interviews because that was one place where they could be visible. That's one place where people could discover them. And then Rolling Stone magazine and others like it do articles. Newspapers do articles when they're in town. Like the aspect of someone doing music and thinking that just paying for ads is going to make them known is absolutely ridiculous. Sure, you'll boost your streams. Sure, you'll get numbers, but all that's doing is patting yourself on the back, just not because like you're paying for a statistic. Anybody can pay for 20 million YouTube views and
Mhm.
no comments, no real subscribers. They just have this number that is feeding their ego, and that's the issue I think so many times with musicians is we get this entitlement, we get this ego because part of it, part of the industry like makes us feel like we need that. And we don't want to feel like we're on the same level as our fans because we want to be this bigger than life person. So if you don't want to be seen, if you don't want to put in the work to build a brand and actually have conversations with people and whatnot, then what are you doing? I would highly recommend not pursuing a music career if you don't want to be on camera, if you don't want to spend time connecting with people, and if you're not genuinely excited to tell everybody and anybody about your thing. It's
Right,
very,
right.
very, very hard.
I agree with that too.
That as well.
Yeah. There's a difference between having a hobby and really taking it serious and building a fan base.
Yeah, but people have to also be willing to ask themselves those questions. Like, is this something I can take seriously? Is it really what I want to do?
Yeah. So, what can you say to
100%.
somebody, just another way of saying, putting some importance behind building a strategy and, um, you know, especially watching your videos too, because we want people to educate themselves. And, we're in the age of information. We have people like you who are teachers, there's experts all around that we can learn from. How important is that in building a brand strategy and doing coaching and, getting serious with the business side of things?
I think it's super important to look for clues within other people's success and just take little hints and little gems here and there and try to do your best to apply it to what you're doing. So many times we look at this guru, that expert, this specialist, and people watch my stuff and then they'll go watch somebody else's stuff that has not the same experience. It could be more, it could be less, could be a completely different skewed perception, could be a completely polarizing view compared to what I or somebody else said. And here's the problem. The processing of knowledge also is a huge fake productivity thing, right? We think that we're being productive. It's an illusion. We think we're being productive because we're watching this guy who's an expert. We're reading this book. We're watching this person. We're watching, but all of it's just more confusing and more overloading than anything, right? So what I always try to say is follow one course until successful. So the acronym for focus,
Mm.
follow one course until successful. So if you're looking for a mentor that you really vibe with, don't let the cynicism pop in to say like, well, they said that that's how to do it, but I'm going to go listen to this guy. And that guy's going to say, well, just run ads. And then, well, I'm going to go over to this guy. It's like you're going to a doctor and then you're getting a second opinion and third opinion and fourth opinion and fifth opinion. And you don't really know
Right.
who to trust at one point. And so I think that at the end of the day, regardless of who you're listening to, regardless of who you're going to for mentorship or guidance or a course or an author of a book, you have to put in the work as you go because you can't get good at golfing by thinking about golfing, by watching golfing videos on YouTube. No matter how good the information is, unless you go out and swing a club a million times, you're not going to get better. that can help you dial things in, but that's not the dial itself. So watching, like, I personally don't think that people learn from TikTok and Instagram reels. It's just a marketing thing. Like when I put up content on Instagram or TikTok, it's entertaining. That's why I do more funny stuff, because people are scrolling. They're not going to like stop what they're doing to take notes and then go do something. They're like, oh, great, I'll save this. I'll come back to it later, when they never do. That's why I love YouTube, because YouTube, in my opinion, is a full meal. And social media, Instagram, TikTok, and so on, is like eating all of your meals out of a vending machine. Eventually, you're going to start feeling sick, and it's just not fulfilling. It's not nurturing.
Mm.
It's not nourishing, rather. So, YouTube mentorship, I believe if somebody is very serious about something in their life, and there's an opportunity to invest in somebody that's going to help them save a ton of time and avoid a ton of mistakes while still doing the work, then that's a good point to invest in yourself. But that's honestly, guys, that's why I do so much free YouTube content. It's like I'm very transparent with my
Right.
strategy for my paid stuff. It's like, watch all my free YouTube stuff. If you don't trust me, by the time you watch like a dozen of my videos, then don't work
Right.
with me. It's fine. But I want to build that trust, and I want to help the beginner get to the early stages of the intermediate positioning. And at that point, generic videos don't help anybody, because once you're at an intermediate position, you need custom advice. You need mentorship. You need somebody to look at what you're doing and give you specific feedback, not just post more, be more consistent, have a better profile photo. Like that's all super beginner, just putting
Yeah.
your shoes on to go outside before you start training to run a marathon, you know?
I think you hit right on the nail when you said it's pretty much what a lot of people are doing is surface work, and there's nothing really foundational.
Yep.
Yeah,
that
get
you're
out there and
building upon, because you're not putting yourself
put it in action.
in the actionable position.
Yeah.
And
I
I
think
love that.
I think that's because it's so addicting. When you scroll and you get that dopamine, you might learn something and think, "Ooh, I should do that." And then, like you said, you just save it and forget it, and you're scrolling another 7 hours a day.
Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah. So, but there is a good number of people
Yeah.
out there who are putting it into action, are finding your videos and working with you. One of our brother, actually, Anthony Church, he did a course with you, and, we saw his testimonial,
Yeah.
and, we're curious to hear more about how somebody can get the chance to work with you one-on-one.
Sure. So I actually, unfortunately, I just closed down my one-on-one program because I wanted to be able to work with larger groups. I wanted to be able to have more of a community. When I was doing the one-on-one thing, you know, for full transparency, it was 12 weeks, $5,000, work with me. I mean, years and years ago, it was a little bit less than that. But then I looked at the huge pool of musicians and artists that needed my help that might not be able to be in a financial position like that. So how do I get them to a more healthy financial position without them having to go broke, without them being stressed out, without them loading up a credit card or whatever somebody in that position might consider doing, which I would never want. Right. So guys like Anthony, amazing dude, Sell Music Masterclass, that was my first kind of foot into helping people with a paid something or other, right? So I launched my Sell Music Masterclass back in 2018, and now we're on version 4.0. And so that program is a self-paced, so many modules. It's essentially the A to Z to growing a music career successfully in 2024 and beyond, mainly organically, because I don't think that people need as much help with ads as they think. If you need all this help with ads, it means that you don't know how to talk to people organically, you don't know who your audience is, and you don't know how to connect organically. And if you can't do that, ads are going to be extremely expensive for you. So I just rolled out actually 2-3 months ago. Super excited to announce, or super excited to keep talking about it. But I rolled out a community called Musician Hub. Right, you can find it at musicianhub.com. It's a low-cost monthly membership community where I'm going in and doing Q&As almost every week. We're doing live trainings. We're going deep dive into the Music Marketing Jumpstart, which is a mini course that I have within for all the Musician Hub members. I'm having guest speakers coming in doing a members only kind of podcast-esque interview and then a Q&A, which is really awesome. So if anybody wants to work with me directly, that is the best route. It's very super affordable. It's like having me on your team from afar, answer a few questions here and there, and then try to do my best to keep you accountable to follow through on what we're talking about. And so it's not just in one ear, out the other. And what you were talking about earlier with the social media stuff, I really think that our brains, no matter how evolved the rest of the technology is, our brains are like a shot glass. You could have a gallon of water and pour it into the shot glass. It's only going to be able to hold what the shot glass holds. And that's what we do with social media as we're scrolling. It's just like more and more and more, but our brain isn't able to process it. So it just spills out. And that's why, if anybody watching or listening to this has ever experienced pretty bad mental brain fog, you can't focus, you're jittery, you don't sleep very well, you're looking at your phone every 12 seconds. That's why we're programming ourselves to have short attention spans, not the
Well,
other way
yeah.
around.
Yeah, I think a lot of people out there are waking up to the scroll hole and, realizing about even the light effects in our eyes and, the effects of that. So we hope
Yeah.
people can get off of there and join your master class. We plan on doing it. And, we recommend everybody to start with your YouTube videos for sure and work your way down because I mean, you have a lot of information and it is kind of like going to a college class or a classroom.
Yes, pretty much.
And, I think the master class is so important because anybody can watch YouTube videos and then get distracted because they got hungry and go in the kitchen and start scrolling again. So having that master class and putting that investment into it is like going to the gym and having a personal trainer that's going to sit there and give you better advice than you would if you were just, at the mercy of your own, device, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, a lot of people, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I try to provide so much information and so much help for free, no obligation. You don't even have to subscribe to my channel to watch this stuff. And then the masterclass allows me to nerd out, like I said before. But the personal trainer metaphor is so great because a lot of people, a lot of critics of online courses and coaching and stuff will say, well, all the information you need to know is on Google. But it's like, if you want to become a mechanic and you've never worked on a car before, what do you ask? What do you go to Google and type in? Do you know what a transaxle is? Do you know what a serpentine belt is? Do you know what, probably not. So when it comes to the music side of things, the content creation, the marketing psychology, how you could take somebody from, attracting them to retaining them, building a relationship, and then being able to convert them into a fan, into a customer, into somebody that's going to financially support your dream. So where it actually becomes a real business, go to people who've built successful businesses, and I have mentors. I'm part of very expensive mentorship programs myself because I believe that coaches need coaches. And, if you're fulfilled in doing music, if you are fulfilled and it's your passion, it's your purpose, then if it's your plan A, treat it like a plan A. It's all, finding someone, not even me, like just find someone that you really, really vibe with. Read a book, read the first 2, 3 chapters. If you don't like it, close it, find a different book. Simple as that. Find somebody that you really connect with, because that's the only way that you're going to genuinely have the relationship to listen. Because anybody can give you advice. You ever have somebody give you like relationship advice and that
yeah.
person has never had a successful relationship? You're like, wait a minute. Why? Wait a minute. It's the same thing as listening to anybody for your fitness goals. If the person that's telling you what to eat and how to work out is the same person
Right.
that can't stick to a diet, always complaining about how they look, going to McDonald's 3 times a day, might
Right.
not
Some
be the
doctors.
best source of information. And the great thing about what
Yep.
I do and what other people do is it's really easy to go through and watch a bunch of stuff for free, check out the testimonials and stuff like that. And from people that have actually been students, people that have actually trusted in myself or someone else, not just somebody with an opinion. That's another super toxic thing on the internet. Everybody has an opinion of these coaches and authors and gurus. And it's like, did you ever take their program? Well, no, I would never.
Right.
Just shut
That's
up.
right.
Like, you don't know, right? It's like somebody seeing me wear a pink shirt and thinking they know
Right.
everything about my life because how I dress, or how you guys dress or decorate your studio. It's just, we're so multifaceted that people, the more you can understand that your music side of things, there's so many things that we're interested in life that we could apply to how we promote our music. We could apply to how we build our brand, apply to how we connect with an audience, to the point where, I did music full time for a little over 8 years, but in the same time, I had other businesses. I now have 2 7-figure businesses, a 6-figure business, launching another business here in the next month or two. So like, once you learn how to build, you can build anything. You just have to believe in yourself, and you can't be afraid of risk. You can't be afraid of looking stupid. You can't be afraid of just jumping in and figuring it out. It's almost like, I think Gary Vee said this years ago, you got to jump out of the plane and try to build another plane as you're falling. That's
Yeah.
entrepreneurship in a
Yeah,
nutshell.
that hits you right on the nail for sure, because you can sit there all day and criticize everything that you're doing. I did this wrong and I did this wrong. People are going to watch it and I'm going to be embarrassed. But at the end of the day, the fact that you were even able to do it, the fact that you posted it, the fact that you worked on it, the fact
Yep.
that you released the song, or that you showed the piece of art that you worked on, is like, it's like you have that in you. That's so great that it pushed you to release this thing that's very important to you. And even if it holds no value for other people, it
For
holds
sure.
value for you. I'm a true believer in your art being
Yeah.
your healing point. So when you express it or show people or just put it out there for yourself, you're really doing the work that it takes up here to stay sane, to really stay in that moment.
Absolutely.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah. If you're not making art that you're proud of, if you're just making content that the public hopefully likes and hopefully it goes viral, you're in it for the wrong reasons. Like, a lot of people want to do music for
Mm.
fame and fortune, but at the end of the day, you're way more likely to make a 6-figure income sustainably the rest of your life by becoming an electrician, by becoming a plumber, by having some specialty trade and doing that the rest of your life rather than going after music. And that's not to discourage, but if somebody's watching this or listening right now and is discouraged, maybe look at yourself in the mirror and say, do you want this bad enough? Because the music industry is one of the hardest industries to break into and even harder to sustain in. How many people have number one hits, never to be heard of again? I mean, there's lists of hundreds of people. And so you have to want it so bad that making $40,000 or $50,000 and not being famous, not having a Grammy award, and just being able to pay your bills off of music has to be
Mm.
all you can dream of. Because like going and getting a Grammy, being a multimillionaire, living in Drake's mansion, and having as many people show up to your tour as Taylor Swift is quite honestly a pipe dream. But if you're excited enough about it and willing to put in the work, people don't talk about the fact that Taylor Swift and Drake have been doing it for 20 years. I remember Drake's team emailing me or messaging me on MySpace in 2005. Like, he was essentially a nobody 20 years ago almost. And people are impatient and complain that they're not famous after making music for 6 months. So you just gotta be real with your expectation and what you're setting out to do, especially since music is such a low barrier of entry for any of us to get into. It's not like you have to, you know, sign a lease for a retail space, buy equipment like the bakery example I gave you earlier. If we wanted to start a bakery, we'd probably be $10,000 to $20,000 in debt before we could even open the doors. And people don't take that into perspective when it comes to the music stuff. They'll go and buy a cheap mic, download free software, and be like, I'm a musician. Why
Right.
isn't this working? So, if you want to become a doctor, you go to school for 8+ years. If you want to become a lawyer, you go to school for 6+ years. If you want to become a police officer, it's like six months or something. I'm not going to get into that conversation, but it's the fact of the matter is, if you want a sustainable career, if you want the income that most people aren't going to be able to attain, you got to put in the work for an amount of time that people aren't willing to put in. Just like you guys, over 100 episodes in a podcast. Most people fail after 20 episodes. I think it's only like less than 5% of people that ever make it to 50 episodes. So you guys are an outlier, and you put in the reps. I'm sure it's gotten better since day one. I'm sure it's going to be better a year from now. And you just got to keep at it, and you're doing it because you enjoy it. And, I think that shines through on what everybody does. If you can tell people are doing it for the wrong reasons,
Right,
it's very
right.
easy to
Absolutely.
see.
But there's a lot of, there's a lot of people out there that are really doing this. I mean, talent. We see talent every day. We have a bunch of playlists that are streaming all over Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and people are submitting their music. And we're finding people that have 200 followers, and they are superstars. It's incredible what the
Yeah.
state of the music industry in my eyes. But then on the other hand, you have the mainstream, if that's even a thing anymore. There's this level of, like the superficial fake followers, the materialism, and the people that say, music isn't what it used to be, it's watered down. But we get to see behind the scenes, maybe
Yep.
some of these people that don't fit into the industry, or like you said, they don't have the resources or the education to do their own marketing or have a team yet. But what is your view on the music industry? What is the current state of the music industry look to you on that deeper level where we're seeing this talent emerging from all over the world?
Yeah, like I said, I think the barrier of entry for musicians now is the lowest it's ever been in terms of, for a few $100s you can start putting out music. And 90% of people in first world countries have smartphones that have great cameras on them, great video capabilities, uh, accessible to all the different apps that are essentially free aside from the investment of time. But the music industry itself is like the mainstream media on the record label and industry side is really, really toxic. I mean, I'm like trying to find a way to not be like negative about it. If you don't want to stay independent, you're looking at it wrong. Because if you look at what's going on with the Diddy situation and Diddy and everybody else that's involved, there's an underlying toilet that a lot of people don't realize that is on the other side of what they think their goals are. And if you stay independent, if you go, like, here's the thing though, you said, you have the, the honor and capability of finding all these people that are unbelievably talented, and they're a superstar, but they only have 200 followers. That's because unbelievable talent is the starting line. That's the problem. Unbelievable talent is the starting line. When everybody is unbelievably talented, it's all average. And I'm not saying that it's not good. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm not saying that they're not talented. It's just okay. It's just like when you're a very beautiful 6'4" man that is a model. Well, guess what? Every time you audition for something, there's 300 other people that look just like you that are, going for the same spot. So if you're not independent, trying to build people around your cause, your music, your drive, your purpose, these things, I, the industry is not going to be able to provide you with much aside from a loan. And people don't realize that. You get a advance. Let's say, I interviewed Nick D not too long ago, great guy. And he's been offered very, very good deals and he's turned them all down. He provides for his family. He lives life on his own terms. And people think that signing to a label is going to be the meal ticket that they need. Yeah, they're going to give you a loan. And then when you go to the recording studio, they're going to charge you for that. When you get a music video done, they're going to charge you for that. When you do a photo shoot, they're going to charge you for that. Then they're going to tell you what you have to do on social media. So it's not even your choice anymore. They're going to tell you, we need this many pieces of content. You need to collaborate with this person. I need you to go live these days. I need you to do X amount of stories a day. I need you to start talking about this other artist's upcoming single and how you're excited about it, because we need to feed everybody in the stable with attention. And so I think as an independent artist, we have the ability to build this thing from the ground up, real grassroots movement style, and we can have that surge, that momentum shift where now we can make money from streaming, even though they don't pay that much. You should never worry about streaming as your number one income revenue generator anyway. Streaming is like ranch dressing on the side of buffalo wings. It makes the buffalo wings better, but it's not the meal, right? The meal is having crowdfunding things like a Patreon or a group, having merch, having touring, having income from sponsors or YouTube revenue or what. I mean, think about it this way. If you have let's say you have 500 people, and I'm bad at math. So 500 people giving you $5 a month in a Patreon or a grouped setting. Over the course of a year, you're making more money than most signed artists that are not Drake or Taylor Swift. So the state of the music industry is every man for himself. You really have to focus on your career, and you do have to wear a lot of hats. The days of I'm just a musician, I'm just going to focus on that, I'll hire a team. No, you're not. And if that's the case, you have so much money from maybe wealthy parents or a trust fund or something that you don't really need to do music. So it's the time money ratio. If you have the time and you don't have the money, that'll work. If you have the money and don't have the time, that'll work. And if you have the time and the money, then probably a trust fund, baby, right? It's so, and so many people in the industry come from a lineage of the people that you hear on the radio, right? People say that music's watered down. It's because they're listening to 200 songs rotated across 8 different channels, right? They don't listen to curated playlists that are actually showing you unknown people. And that's where it is. I mean, if there's like 100,000 plus songs uploaded a day on Spotify, and you're saying that the industry is generic and diluted because you're listening to 40 songs rotated on an XM radio station, like it's not that the music's not there. It's that you're not looking. Like you're allowing the industry to tell you what's popular. And the issue here, going on a bit of a rant here, but the music in the 50s, fast forward to the 60s and 70s, people were saying that was generic and that was watered down. Then people from the 70s listening to music in the 80s and 90s, oh, this is all bubblegum crap. Then people from the 90s and early 2000s hear the new stuff. It's like, oh, music's not what it used to be, because we lock ourselves into a pocket, an era of where we are enjoying the music the most. That becomes part of our identity. And if NSYNC and early Jay-Z and everything in between is your jam from high school, well, yeah, listening to Lil Twist and Nicki Minaj and stuff might not be your cup of tea. But there's going to be good things that you discover. You just have to continue to discover. And that's what a lot of people, including myself at times, have been guilty of. You have the rotation of songs that have nostalgia, songs that you love, songs that you know all the words for. And when you hear new music, it might be interesting, but you want to go back to your safe stuff. And that's why I think that we really have to open our minds and take a little bit more action to search the stuff out, because unfortunately we live in a day and age now where you're going to find music that becomes like your favorite songs, favorite albums, favorite projects. And still a lot of those people will never be known by many because they didn't focus enough on the business growth and marketing or whatever the reasons might be. I'm not here saying everybody needs to do that. I'm just, the people that want certain things need to do that. So yeah, a lot of music, a lot of great music.
Just sounds like they need to tap in with the mixtape queens, because that's why we do what we do.
I think so. 100%.
You know, we're all about spreading the music. Everybody wants to do music, and that's great. But, you know, music really is medicine for people. And, you know, when you put that word industry behind it, like you said, it gets real grimy and complicated. And, you know, here we are just spreading the vibes, spreading the music, spreading the love. And, you know, we want to call anybody who does music, send us your music. Mixtapequeens.com. We want to hear it. We listen to everything that we get. So
mix to our playlist. It's completely free.
Yep. We got country, reggae, spiritual,
everything,
rock. We got everything. So.
And yeah, I mean, honestly, it just was like really hitting me because I'm like, wow, people really do listen to those 40 songs on rotation and they think that's all there is. Even I have woken up Like earlier
Yeah.
this week, I'm like, on Monday, I'm like, dang, we only got what, maybe 100 different artists really on that top Billboard 100. A lot of them already have marketing and
It's the
they
same.
have a team. It's the
Same
same
people.
thing in rotation. So when you see somebody new pop up there, for example, I think her name is Enaiko, or I call her Enaiko. And she does these spiritual songs and they're like really powerful and popular on TikTok and on Instagram. She can get people with these little short clips. But her song ended up on the Billboard 100 and people were like, where did she even come from? She's been doing this for years. And I think that's a testament to your statement that you just made, which is if you're not willing to put in the work, don't expect to get what you really wanted out of it. So,
yeah, I mean, I think there's a quote that's don't be disappointed by the results that you didn't get from the work that you didn't want to put in. So it's just, it's just like anything. I relate a lot of things to health and fitness because years and years ago, I was a certified personal trainer in 2008. And even though I decided not to go down that path, I thought I did. And then I changed my mind because I was really into fitness, but music and other things were a priority to me at the time. I look at it in anything we do, it's all lifestyle based, right? So one salad is not going to make you skinny. One double cheeseburger with bacon is not going to make you fat. One cigarette is not going to give you lung cancer. And one jog around the block is not going to make you a marathon runner. It's what we do continuously. And so if you're a musician, if you're an independent artist, don't just make 8 songs, post it in an EP, and that's like your whole thing. Keep making songs, keep creating. Same with Instagram and TikTok. People get so intimidated because they're not comfortable doing it. It's new to them. They feel like they don't understand how to use it. But when they picked up the guitar and it took them 4 years to get really confident with it, they didn't think twice. So what's the difference? Just mindset, perspective, what they really want. They don't really want to be on TikTok or Instagram if after 3 or 4 posts, they're like, I just don't get it. I feel like nobody sees my stuff. It's like picking up a guitar after 4 days being like, I just don't get it. I don't like, I want to play like Jimi Hendrix, but like I feel maybe my guitar's broken, right? And there's a million people that buy guitars and pianos and every instrument under the sun. In fact, I have a couple guitars and I know how to play chords, but I am not good. I get like carpal tunnel. I'm more of a pianist. I have like a million different synthesizers and pianos and stuff, but I'm not good at guitar because I haven't focused on guitar. I'm not good at marathon running because I don't run. You can't blame somebody else. If you're not good at TikTok, if you're not getting views, if you're not getting Instagram followers, if you're not getting subscribers on YouTube, if people aren't listening to your music, it's because you don't know how to promote. You don't know how to build up a brand or a business. And that takes time to learn. There's a reason why an MBA takes 6 years to get. And that's, what is it? Masters of Business, right? You don't just start doing music, and you got to look at the music industry, music business. Industry and business are the bigger words in those phraseologies, right? So like you need to figure out what the industry entails, which is the business side of things. And the business, and people hate this. I know that people are going to be really turned off by this. Like the business, marketing, branding, promotion side of things is more important than the music itself. And that's why you listen to the radio and there's music that you're like, this is crap. Yeah, it could be, but the marketing, the branding, the business. And if you have music that's far better than that, instead of complaining about the thing that got them noticed, do the thing that got them noticed so you can get noticed rather than just being a jaded 54-year-old musician that never had their break because they never actually took one.
Right. Take that formula and that blueprint.
Sorry.
And get that blueprint, that these record labels and these bigger artists, like you said, reverse engineer it, do it for yourself. And shout out to all the independent artists out there, man. There is some talented people in this world. And that's why we're here. The Mixtape Queens and Adam Ivy are here to help you keep the dream alive. We love it. We have a couple more really fun, quick questions for you before we go.
No, it's great. That's totally fine. Let's do it.
Okay. So if you could do a track with any artist dead or alive, who would it be? Who would be your dream artist?
Yeah, probably be John Bellion. I think he's just a musical savant. He just seems like such a down to earth guy. One of the most talented producers, writers, composers of our generation. Truly believe that. So yeah, that would be like, I don't even have to think twice. John Bellion would be one person. I just want to be in the studio with him. Honestly, I don't even need to like click anything or touch anything. Just being able to see that man work in person would certainly be an experience. I think that if you look at people like Michael Jackson or Prince, Freddie Mercury, for example, like these people had something that was beyond talent. It's almost supernatural. And I think that John Bellion has that thing. And I don't think that I don't even think he wants the recognition from it, but definitely would be at the top of the
Love
list right now.
it. Love it. Okay. So, I mean, we know you're a master of many trades, obviously. But outside of the studio and away from the screen, what's one hobby that might surprise listeners?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, so I was a union carpenter for 4 years, so I love woodworking. And when I'm not in front of screens, I try to do very analog tasks like building, or I love working out, even though I haven't done it in a few months because my garage is a mess and that's where I built out my gym. Um, but over the last few months, I've built this home studio, almost done with it. I built a beautiful fireplace mantle downstairs in our living room for an electric fireplace we bought. Uh, I love building stuff, right? And aside from that, I think my number one favorite thing to do is just spend time with my family. We have a little 11-month-old daughter, and she changed my life forever. And I just love spending time with her and my wife. So I like fishing too. People don't know that I grew up in central Wisconsin. It was very like outdoor, four-wheeling, fishing, hunting. I never got into hunting too much, but my my family on my mom's side is all like dairy farmers and stuff. So I grew up with a lot of manual labor and just being outside and riding my bike and playing sports. And both of my little brothers love fishing. So any chance I get, which isn't that much in Florida. I don't go as much as I should down here, but when I'm back up in Wisconsin, it's awesome getting out there. My brother has a beautiful boat. We'll go out and fish for a few hours, and all of the things I love to do the most are away from cameras and screens, though.
I believe it. I feel like that's the same for us. We will literally clock out and just disappear for days, and we'll go into the woods and go camping or just being in nature. I really feel like it's fulfilling to the brain, and not just for spiritual purposes, like emotional and like mental health is really important. Being in this field of work where you're on the computer, you're in the camera constantly,
Yeah.
24/7, it can become
Yeah,
exhausting if you don't take a break. So I love that answer.
I never thought when I was young that I'd be like, one day I want to go bird watching. Sounds like, oh, you must be getting old, I guess. But like now that's my dream. It's like, yeah, we need that. Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. I think we have to adopt practices that allow us to be patient and bored, because if we're not, then it's just
Mhm.
hyper consumption, and that leads to a lot of mental health issues. That leads to a lot of disappointment and focus issues. And when your brain is melted, doesn't matter how great you're eating or anything, it just affects everything in your life, including
Mhm.
relationships with those that you care about the
Yes.
most.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, we're extremely grateful for you spending this time with us and sharing your information. We will of course drop all of your links below in the description to make sure that everybody listening, just a hint, go down to the description, click the links, go follow Adam Ivy, go show love, go subscribe, and sign up for his courses. You can learn, obviously, an immense amount of knowledge on how to really use your skills and benefit in the most productive way.
No, and I appreciate that. I had a lot of fun hanging out with you guys today. And hopefully somebody got some sort of gem or perspective shift from this conversation. And thank you so much for including the links below the show or in the show notes or whatnot. And yeah, come check out the stuff. And if you really like the stuff, then look at more stuff and maybe we can work together.
Thank you so much, King. We appreciate you. I'm sending you a lot of love. Have a great week.
Peace and
Thank you
love.
so much.